Today's hike is about 5.5 miles, and with me taking photos and videos along the way, it's probably going to increase the time, probably double. We'll see how it goes. Sunrise is in about 30 minutes or 40 minutes, and it's going to be pretty dark on the hike before sunrise and even after sunrise because the canopy is thick and it limits the amount of light coming in.
It's daylight, and I'm still a half hour away from my destination. The primary destination is a thicket of trees, tall trees with a lot of undergrowth and a lot of fallen trees. So at least half hour more to go and we'll be there. Over in front of me is a prime example of Mother Nature, is why we have so many logs fallen. Let me get my camera and then I'll show you what is over there. So what's over there is a lightning strike on an oak tree. The lightning bolt hit it and it ran all the way down the tree to the ground, taking about a 3 or 4 inch wide strip of bark with it. Let's get a shot of that. ISO 100 F11. And a 1/4 second. 2 second delay. And take the shot. This is a woodland area here that during the fall, the plants, the understory you'd call it, was they didn't have any leaves, so you could see all the dead fallen trees laying on the ground. And they're obvious now too, except it just takes a little bit more time to find them. So let me show you what I'm talking about here. In this shot that I'm framing up, there are 2 dead trees standing that are large, and they're prominent in the scene. See if I can get them both in the same frame here. What would look good here is a single shot that's cropped to a 2:1 format, and I'll probably go with F11 to try to get a little bit more depth of field. It would be nice if the sun would shine down on the sides of the trees, but it's just not happening. So I've got the ferns in the foreground, and then these 2 trees, and I've got one over here that has the top broken out of it. And so let's go with a 2-second timer on that and take a look at it. And that was 0.8 of a second.
4 miles in and I'm ready for a break. I think I'll sit here and try to record some of the woodland sounds. There's a pileated woodpecker over there. A little rest is helpful. When I left home it was about 63 degrees. When I got here it was about 58. And down when I crossed the creek there was somewhere around a 5 to 10 degree drop in the temperature. Of course it came back up when I came up the hill, but it's all good. So it's a beautiful day in the forest. It's overcast. Was a light rain a minute ago. They'll tell them what kind of bugs I just pulled down on me. A light sprinkle, not really a rain, it was just a sprinkle. Lasted probably 10 or 15 minutes. So this is Pink Bed's Loop. It's a hiking trail. It's about 5.3 miles. Haven't found many photographs really worth having. I did like the mushroom photograph. And the woodland. You don't get those epic scenes, and not every time that you go on a photo trip, because you know, if you go out to the beach you get a landscape with the beach and the water, or if you go up on the Blue Ridge Parkway you get some kind of an iconic scene, maybe with Looking Glass Rock in it. But out here in the deep woods, then you have to focus on other things such as rotted vegetation, mushrooms, light coming through the trees, illuminating the leaves, which there hasn't been much of that today. I was hoping there would be, but the weather forecast showed it would be sunny until about 9 o'clock in the morning, and then it would be totally overcast. And I think they pretty much hit it. The only good thing about that is the overcast day is kind of like a softbox. Everything is evenly illuminated, so you can photograph most of the woodland areas without getting hot spots and deep shadows. So in other words, I can just like I did in some of the photos that I had earlier, when I composed my shot and then set the exposure, I can get a histogram that looks more like a bell curve. There's no clipping on the highlights or the shadows, so it makes it easy to edit it and get it to look just like what I see. When I look out through the woods, I can see into the shadows, I can see the highlights, I can make out detail in both places. The camera can't do that. So some editing is necessary sometimes to lighten the shadows and darken the highlights. You just don't want the highlights to be blown out, or you can't do anything with it. So I think I'll just sit here another 2 or 3 minutes and rest. And I found another area where there are a lot of fallen logs. A while ago, when I began to set my equipment up, there was just a little bit of light coming through, enough to highlight some of the moss on the logs. So let's take a look at those. This log right here had light on it, and not only did the light disappear, but there was just a little bit of a mist of rain, which the canopy overhead is so thick I can't feel it. But nevertheless, the clouds are rolling by, and there's no light penetrating much to speak of. But look at the logs, fallen logs. And if I spin the camera around, there's a massive log over here, and it does have some light on it. And I keep hearing sounds. I want to be aware of what the sounds are, because there are bears here.
But that log is broken. It may be more than one. I believe it's two. It's broken. It does have some moss right there in the center of the frame, and there is a little bit of light on it. But I had my eye on this other one here a minute ago, and I thought it might be more interesting. Let me zoom in on that one a little bit. I think that might make a good composition, but I'll have to move over and get it. My ISO was up high for the video, but I'm going to drop it back down to 100. I like to shoot at a base ISO if I can. And I'm going to photograph this at f8. And my variable will be the time. My histogram shows I'm 1 2/3 stops. Too dark. But the fact is that part of the composition, part of the frame is filled with the dark part of the wood, and I'm more interested in just the moss here. Let's take a shot there. I will increase it by 1 click, which is 1/3 of a stop. So I'm at ISO 100, f8, 1/13 of a second. And 2-second timer, and I got it. Make a little review of that. I'm going to zoom in, make sure it's nice and sharp. I'd like to thank you so much for joining me on this trip. The hike's about over. I'm around 5 miles, 5 1/4 miles, so I'm almost back at the trailhead. I hope you found the video entertaining at least, and I hope to see you on the next one. So until then, good day.